Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. If you want to see a super scrappy 10-round game with sandworms, boats, and melters, this is the game for you. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am a rhino specialist. Started off with crawlers and mustangs. My opponent, Mr. 1KO, is a saber-tooth specialist with stone crawlers and fans. The first couple rounds is not looking too good for me because I have very light, low HP units running straight into Stonecrawlers. I need to make sure I keep my damage up so that I can cut through his chaff, allowing my crawlers to actually get close and personal with these Stonecrawlers. So whenever I do crawler Mustang openings, I always just buy a single unit of chaff, and I will use the extra 100 with the attack enhancement. And there it is. All right, so the attack enhancement, it may seem small, but it can actually help Mustangs to kill Arclights a little bit faster, which means you get to have a little bit more chaff left over. So as you can see on the left-hand side, I was already able to get through that Arclight before it decimates my second squad of crawlers. Unfortunately, on my right-hand side, there was an extra squad of fans, and I got a few crawlers stuck on it, and they ate a whole lot of shells from these Stonecrawlers. All right, round two. Laser sight is quite good on a Mustang. However, I probably need the money to go with Stonecrawlers of myself. So I skipped, decided to put down 2 squads of Stonecrawlers. My opponent is Saber Specialist, which means he gets a free Saber-tooth on this round. I wouldn't even have a chance to win this round if I don't get my own Stonecrawlers, because my Mustangs, they're just not good enough to cut through that thick armor of the Saber-tooth. All right, so my opponent did take laser sight. It is going on to that Saber-tooth. I think it's a great choice. It allows the Saber-tooth to fire for quite a bit longer. Right now, the problem with my opponent, though, is he does not have a lot of fast-moving chaff. And speaking of, here they are, the crawlers. The reason you need fast-moving chaff into a Stonecrawler line is just because with units like fans, they're just going to take the rockets, right? Take the damage from the Stonecrawlers. But with crawlers, you have a chance to dodge the Stonecrawler missiles, but also you're putting a little bit more pressure onto the front. So if I were to get, let's say, fire crawlers, having fast moving chaff allows you to bring the fire a little closer to your enemy, which has a higher chance of burning his own chaff. Very good stuff here. You should always have a healthy mix of both slow and fast moving chaff. All right, so it looks like my unranged Mustangs simply just got destroyed by the combination of Stonecrawlers and the Arclight, so I know exactly what I need to do next turn. All right, we're going to round 3 here. First unit drop. Looking at the cards here, I think the Scorpion is very enticing. So I took the Scorpion. And for my opponent, I think the Wasp could be good, even though I already run Mustangs, but it's just like right down in the middle, there's nothing there. So I think if you mobile beacons the Wasp, you can definitely achieve something. Right after I had the Scorpion down, I was thinking, I really need a range on my Mustangs. I would also love to have more Mustangs. The Scorpion is really good. I wonder if I need to keep the Scorpions on the board, or should I just get more Mustangs and get range? So that was a last minute decision. I've decided to sell the Scorpion instead of getting range. And the reason for that is with range, your Mustangs can actually survive for quite a lot longer. With +1, they can actually take down Saber-tooth if you focus fire on them for a bit. And I really would like to have my Mustangs leveled in the later rounds. They're just such versatile units in the later rounds. They're great against air. They're great against chaff. They're not affected by loose, which is a technology on the crawlers that spreads the crawlers. It makes other chaff clear units like the arc lights or the sledgehammers extremely vulnerable because now they have to shoot more than once to kill a cluster of crawlers. But Mustangs just don't have that kind of problem. Mustangs on the left-hand side, they're just focusing a little too much on the Sabertooth. Okay, so for first Sabertooth falls. All right, so on the left-hand side, I am doing okay. I'm getting through the Stonecallers, still getting shot at quite a bit, which I'm not a big fan of. But definitely doing better than the right-hand side. Level 3 Wasp coming in, getting the tower. I think that Wasp will soon be level 4 after this round. We'll see. Alright, so this should be a decent tower. Depends on... the Mustangs never turned down and hit the Wasp, so that's too bad. Had it went down and get the Wasp, I think I should be able to have a pretty good chance of winning this round. Alright. We'll get a Rhino drop. Round 4. Lots of interesting cards here. I've decided to take the enhancement module because I do expect my Mustangs to level up throughout the game. And for my opponent, I think enhancement module is pretty good. And if he wants, he can also take supply. But instead, it's going to be extended range Phoenix. Very interesting. There's really nothing right now on the board that calls for extended range Phoenix. Or even just regular Phoenix. So I wonder if he's just doing this to hedge for a future giant. But he's really got lucky with this one because I am putting my Rhino in a forward position, hoping to capture the tower a little sooner. And I've decided to use a distraction fence to kind of move their units away. All right, my Mustangs on the left-hand side, they are now both level 2, which means they should be able to do a lot of work. And the Phoenix is able to take down my Rhino very quickly, but these level 2 Mustangs, they are just going to get in and get the job done. On the right-hand side, though, it is still falling, but I feel a little bit more confident this time around because I should be able to get tower before it kills all my Mustangs, which allowed them to finish off those level 3 Wasps. All right, let's see how the tower timing goes here. If I can get the tower before the Stonecaller volley goes down, I should be able to do okay. And there it is. Great tower timing. All right, my level 2 Mustangs are now going to be level 3. Another unit drop. I think Sandworm is excellent for my opponent. Take armor on Sandworm. Yeah, nothing can really bring it down. Sandworm is also looking pretty good for me as well. So I took the Sandworm, and we all going to have our little differences when playing with it. All right, for me, my Sandworm is mostly just going to be a Vanguard for my left-hand side with these 2 high-level Mustangs. But with my opponent, I think he wants it maybe on the right-hand side, just kind of running into my units here. Armor on the Sandworm completely nullifies the damage output on these Mustangs, which means I'm going to need to figure out a different way to deal with his units. All right, got a mobile beacon Sandworm going through the middle because I noticed this is wide open. More crawlers at it. Now, very curiously, my opponent actually leveled up the left side tower. It is the one tower that was consistently getting taken in the last couple of rounds, but I wonder if instead of just spending the extra 100, if you could just put a Sandworm or 2 on the other side, it would have resolved the situation because you really don't need more beef on the right-hand side. You were winning that side pretty convincingly for the last couple of rounds. What you really need is more defense on the opposite side. All right, Sandworm is popping up his head. I'm doing virtually no damage with these Mustangs, which is quite a bummer. Which means the Mustangs are going to get stuck on a Sandworm, and the rest of the army is going to come and clean up my Mustangs. Extremely well-timed tower. So saving me a lot of unnecessary HP damage. Still though, I don't think I have anything to deal with this level 2 sandworm. I don't believe my level 2 sandworm is even big enough to deal with that because on the sandworm, the armor actually increased the HP by 50%. All right, we're looking at round 6. Iron Blast is a pretty good ability, especially we have strong side, weak side. For my opponent, I think Iron Blast is probably pretty good for him as well, but you just got to be a bit more careful because I have a lot of fast-moving units. It's always a little tricky to Iron Blast your opponent's army if they've got lots of Mustangs, lots of crawlers. You just have to really understand how to time it. All right, so it's going to be Iron Blast for me, and for my opponent... Not sure what he'll get yet, but we'll find out in just a second. It's going to be mass-produced Overlords. Interesting. All right. So instead of getting mass-produced Overlords, I just got regular Overlords because I needed the chain gun to deal with these sandworms before they get too big. Armor is a huge problem because it not only notifies the damage of my Mustangs, it forces them to keep shooting at the sandworm, ignoring all the other threat, mostly the crawlers, the wasps, the phoenixes. So we can't have that. We need a way to bring down these worms very quickly. Melting point is another great way of doing it, but the problem with melting point is that if you don't have enough chaff to kind of keep the worms above ground, they would just keep popping in and out. Whereas the boats with chain gun provides a more reliable damage output. All right, so at the front here, the level 1 worm was taken care of very quickly. This Iron Beam was possibly the worst Iron Beam in the history of Iron Beams. I don't even think I got anything worthy of mention. But my saving grace was on the left-hand side. I was able to get to that tower and allowing my big Mustangs coming over and start killing these phoenixes. Ooh, that is very juicy barrage from the Stonecrawlers, killing almost half of my Mustangs. I still have to deal with a single sandworm, but without any sort of upshoot from my opponent. I think that should be pretty easy. All right, getting to round 7. Nano Repair Kit is amazing on a sandworm because the way that sandworm moves is they move on the ground and not able to be targeted by anybody, which means as they're moving, the Nano Repair Kit is going to give so much healing to that unit. I've decided to skip because none of this really applies to me. For my opponent, I think the best card here is probably just going to be Nano Repair Kit because he already has Sandworm with armor, so that's a huge amount of HP. 145,000 HP on this level 2 Sandworm. Now level 3, 218,000. I don't even think my level 2 boats with chain gun can actually bring it down with Nano. We'll see. All right, so I added another boat right there in the middle. I was hoping to capture a tower, so I used some crawlers as chaff and mobile beacons straight to the tower. I've also added another bow on the back corner. Just want to get rid of this sandworm very quickly so all the units can join into the front line here. On my opponent's side, he added Replicate on these crawlers. Very interesting. I think the reason he want to have Replicate because he noticed I already have 4 units on the flank here. So if he has Replicate and I cannot answer to it directly, he's just going to end up with a lot more chaff. And in a game like this, where you're busy dealing with a giant sandworm, you don't really have a lot of resource left over to deal with the additional chaff. So I think this is a very interesting and also well thought out upgrade here. All right, sandworm goes down. We do have Mustangs now level 2, hopefully level 3 soon. Able to bring that sandworm down, and now everybody's going back to the front line. On the left hand side, these level 4 Mustangs are just killing absolutely everything. The center mobile beacon has failed. And oh, here comes the level 3 sandworm, and there's just no way. We got a level 2 overlord continuing to bombard it with all of his weapons, and there's just no way for me to bring it down. And this is the moment I realize I probably need melting point. All right, we're both on the tower debuff, but he's going to come out of it a little bit sooner. However, his units are slightly mispositioned, so now he has no real upshoot. But the problem, though, is that I don't know if I can actually kill the sandworm. Yeah, it's just super tanky. It is not going down. Yeah, this sandworm is going to live, I think. Ooh, finally, with the combined might of 2 level 2 boats, I was able to bring it down. But that is just way too much work for a single unit. I'm going to need melting points to take care of that a little bit sooner than at the end of the round. Nothing is really of use here. I've already tech enough, so I don't know if I can make the most out of the efficient tech research. Incendiary could be interesting, but I was more worried about my opponent taking it than I do. My opponent teched the sandworm with anti-air, so it won't be stuck in an awkward situation like the last round, and it would actually able to chomp down my overlords. And here comes the melting point. Summon them as level 2 because I know as level 1 they simply do not have enough damage before the sandworm pops back into the ground, so I needed that damage. Cannot afford for the melting point to stay and wait until it gets full charge. And that's pretty much all my money. I added a few more bubbles because I was anticipating the firebomb incendiary bomb, but aside from that, no, that's all the money I got. With 100 left over, I think I'm going to drop a missile on the far right to get rid of a chaff because I have no good chaff clear except these Mustangs, and they don't kill chaff very quickly, even though they can deal with chaff as they're running towards you. I just need to get this sandworm out of the way, allowing my units to focus at the front. All right, so I got a missile here. My opponent decided to missile out the flank here for some reason. I think that's a mistake. I would definitely leave those crawlers to be replicated. All right, sandworm. See you later. Now let's see if I'm able to hold on to my tower on the right hand side, especially against this level 3 sandworm. That is just terrifying. Holy crap. All right, looking at the left hand side, I am able to break through for the most part, and my boat is still standing strong. Oh, level 3 just barely able to not bring it down, and now is about to heal all the way back to full health, and that is super upsetting. Oh man, and now the sandworm is going to be level 4. I don't have a solution to that worm. It's just too much for my units to take it down. So a huge round for my opponent with multiple giants still left over. High level wasp. I think these wasps are going to get up to level 5 soon, and they can just hit elite. They don't even need to get range. Ouch. Huge round for my opponent. All right, we got another unit drop. What caught my attention were these 3 level 2 sledgehammers. I'm not going to use them as actual damage unit, but they're excellent for tanking, especially tanking against the sandworm if I put them vertically. So that's what I'm going to use. Level 2 sledgehammers in a vertical configuration, and I'm going to put some crawlers nearby. The trick of playing with sandworms when you have melting point is that you always want to ensure there's a stream of unit running towards it. You don't want to get too many units too fast because they do have a splash, but you want to have some units streaming towards it so that they can stay above ground, allowing your melting point to charge up to full strength. All right, So I got a line of sledgehammers here. I added 2 more melting point, and now with energy absorption and range, which means the moment these worms pop up, they will be targeted, and as long as they stay above ground for around 5 to 6 seconds, I should be able to bring them down. All right, let's see if this happens. And as for my opponent's side, he continues to add on more chaff all the way around, and now with triple Farseer, with Electromag, and also getting, weirdly, getting range and Electromag on the Wasp. That was unexpected. I was really hoping for range and elite, because these are really your carry units, not so much of the utility units. Alright, looking at my health here, I can't really afford another loss here. I'll be out of the game, so I have to win this round. Alright, first sandworm pops out, gets instant locked by my melting point. Ooh, too bad, goes down under. Coming up again. Alright, gets locked once again by the melting point on the left hand side. Now we do have crawlers streaming in, which means yes, both sandworms are now down. And with just boats left over, I should be able to do a little bit more damage. But what I'm really worried right now are these level 3 wasp here. Alright, got my tower, no big deal. I still have 2 melting point and a bunch of really high level Mustangs, so I should be able to get this round. Alright, good stuff. Just picking off these Phoenixes one by one, and then Stonecrawlers as well. And with the tower debuff, I am able to win this round. And this is a pretty decent damage. We got 3 giants left over on the board. Bombard is an excellent card here. Not only does my opponent have multiple air unit, he also has a whole lot of chaff, all of which are just perfect targets for Bombard. On my side, I am also worried about Bombard. Most importantly, I need to protect my now super high level Mustangs. They are my only chaff clear, so if they die, so do my melting point, and I will have nothing to deal with my opponent. Now, last round, I noticed there was some slight weakness in the later part of the round because of these overlords with Mothership and also this very high level Wasp. So I've decided to just pick up AA in case my opponent tries anything funny in the air. And indeed, he does try to run Chain Gun, which is very effective against melting points if you can get close. But with AA and with these level 4, level 5 Mustangs, I feel like I should be able to take care of that. Iron Blast is now off cooldown, and this time I'm going to put it like this. All of his units are going to run towards my fans, and before they finish, they should feel the full wrath of the Iron Beam. Alright, so the board is set. I am ready. Let's see how this round goes. Alright, in the final second, my opponent decided to mobile beacon all the way to my weak side. But it doesn't matter which side you're going to go to, buddy. I have range on my melting point, and they can shoot all the way across the map. My high-level Mustangs are just doing work against these overlords. My Iron Beam is doing work. I think this Iron Beam got like 3 overlords plus several other units. The right side is fallen. My units are getting into the tower. And with the tower down and with the worm is still being targeted by multiple melting point, I think I'm going to take this game. Alright, very well played, Mr. 1KO. And I hope you enjoyed this game. And if you want to see another scrappy game just like this, here's one for you. Alright, I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.